Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Curious about information you've heard on today's show? Just head to eatdrinkexplore.com and head to the weekly program summary section under the radio tab. We always list the websites and any other important facts associated with each of our guests we have on the program. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back shortly. Did you know our weekly Saturday morning radio show also has a video simulcast on Ustream? You can watch it live or view pre-recorded versions while on the go by simply downloading our free Eat, Drink, Explore app for your smartphone or tablet device. To find it, just head to Google Play or the Apple App Store and search Eat, Drink, Explore.
A very good Saturday morning to you. Hope your day is off to a relaxing and enjoyable start. I'm your guest host, Patti Piburn, in for Randol White this morning. We're discussing food, wine, craft beer, travel, and tourism as we do every Saturday. And at this time each week, we feature our destinations segment when we focus on towns, cities, parks, trails, and other locations worthy of receiving a little extra attention. This week, we're heading to a West Coast city, home to the world's first revolving restaurant, first gas station, first police on bicycles, largest houseboating community. All of this happening in Seattle, Washington. I have a very good friend in Seattle, Washington. Now, we are speaking with I have to say this right, Kaoilani Robinson, about the Emerald City. Kaoilani is with the Seattle Convention and Visitors Bureau. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for being with us. I love your city, and I have to say I've only been there twice. It's a place that I always think, one of these days I'm going to go back there.
Yes, it's constantly changing, so I'm sure there's a lot to see now since you've been here last.
I'll tell you, when I was there last, my son was just about 4 months old. I thought, we're crazy for taking a baby on a trip. But actually, he did great. And he's driving a car now. He's 16.
Yeah, so, you definitely need to make it back.
Do you think it's changed a little bit? Tell me how it's changed.
Just a little bit, yeah. It's definitely a growing city in many ways, from the food scene to the wineries. We now have 700 wineries here. The neighborhoods are just so eclectic and so much character to each one, but that's really what makes up the great city of Seattle. South Lake Union is the newest neighborhood. It's just within walking distance from downtown. So there's a lot going on. In South Lake Union, that's where Amazon is based. A lot of the tech companies, biomed research companies are based there. So there's just so much happening. And this year is the World's Fair anniversary, the 50th anniversary of the World's Fair. So there's a lot happening at the city center of Seattle Center campus, with the opening of the Chihuly Garden and Glass. So you can imagine you need several trips to come back here to make up for what you've missed.
To cover it all, that's right. So when we got there, the very first thing we did, straight to the Space Needle, right to that revolving restaurant. So tell us about that experience. I feel like the Space Needle has changed a bit, obviously, in the last 16 years since I've been there.
Yeah, the Space Needle is the most iconic part of our city, and it still exists, and it has a wonderful restaurant at the top. But if visitors want to, they can just come and ride the elevator up to the top to see the views of the Needle of the city. So there's, you can come for the day, you can stay for dinner. It's functioning. It's still it's the top attraction in our city. So it's definitely a place to see when you first get here. It will help lay the land for the area.
Now, another highlight for us when we were there was the market, Pike's Place, and, everyone envisions the throwing fish and all of that. But I think that was everything that I was expecting it to be. Don't you think that's a place you have to go?
It's definitely the heart and soul of Seattle. It's just celebrated its 104th birthday. It's the oldest farmers market in the United States. The vendors there are just, they have so many stories to tell, and they have so much to offer, and they are the growers, they are the artists. Just the experience alone, and it's a great place to pick up a souvenir or to buy some flowers for your hotel room or pick up some fish and eat it while you walk through the market. So it's just a wonderful place to experience the vibrance of Seattle and what it has to offer.
You know, even Starbucks has coffee named after
Yep.
the market.
Yep.
That was a really great experience. And if I remember right, not only great food, great sights and sounds, all of that, but there was some really fabulous street entertainment going on right everywhere we looked. It was, you know, just...
There are buskers throughout the market and throughout the streets of Seattle. There are musicians everywhere, and it's constantly changing. There's a new one on a different corner every day. So there's a system that they have, and they're very talented, and just, you know, some of them have CDs you can even buy. So
I have a steel from a band that did steel drums. I still have that CD. So yeah, just a feast for the senses. So another really fun thing that I enjoyed, we went island hopping. We just got on a ferry and went from place to place and spent a whole day.
That's one of my favorite things to do.
Tell us highlights where we'd want to go.
So you know, we have one of the largest ferry systems in the world, and there are just so many islands to go to. You can't do them all, but just from downtown you can take the Bainbridge ferry, and it's a half-an-hour ferry. You can walk on, you can drive on, and then Bainbridge has beautiful shops and restaurants and just a lot to do for lunch, for the day. If you want to go a little bit farther, you can hop on the Clipper to Friday Harbor and go to one of the San Juan Islands. And San Juan Island and Friday Harbor has gorgeous B&Bs and waterfront restaurants and great shopping, kayaking, whale watching. I think getting out to the islands is one of the best weekend getaways you can do from Seattle, which is one of, you know, why Seattle is so great, because the natural beauty is so close to this vibrant urban city.
And I found that the different islands have different sort of personalities.
Yes. San Juan Island is biggest, I would say, in that area. There's Orcas and Lopez, and those are a little more retreat-like. Lopez is very big into farming. Orcas has, you know, these beautiful yurts on Doe Bay and hot spring tubs. So it just, whatever you're looking to experience, if it's camping, if it's a B&B, if it's a resort, there's something for everybody.
Now, one of the things we were listing all the firsts about Seattle, and you were saying the first market, which is, I didn't realize that was the case.
The oldest. I think
oldest.
It's the oldest.
Oh, not first, oldest.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Either way, it's a first. So tell us about this houseboat community.
Yeah, so Seattle has two lakes, Lake Washington and Lake Union, and there are hundreds of boats on Lake Union, houseboats on Lake Union, and it's just, you know, if you've seen the movie Sleepless in Seattle,
yes.
Part of it was filmed there, and it's still a very, very bright, vibrant, very hot real estate market as well. I mean, there are some very modern homes. There are some very old, beautiful, craftsman-like homes that have just been restored and remain. And Lake Union, you can take tours throughout Lake Union, and you will get to see the lake boat, the homes, and they're just gorgeous. And you can rent them if you'd like to, or buy one if you're looking for that.
Yes, buy one if you want.
Yeah, sure.
And move to Seattle. It's such an amazing city. Now, one thing I think is true of Seattle, and you can probably fill us in on this, we talked about the ferries. I think Seattle is a city that you can absolutely visit without a car.
Yes. It's such a walkable city, and I mentioned the neighborhoods a little bit ago. You know, downtown is a great place to start. There's so much happening downtown with arts and culture, especially with theaters here. But just branching out, you can take a 10-minute walk south. You can take a 10-minute walk east to any of the neighborhoods, and you can walk up to Capitol Hill, and that's kind of where the grunge, I guess, is where it really started. But now there's so much more happening there. There's all the craft distilleries are really booming there. There's amazing restaurants, really cute boutique shopping, and then you can even walk to the Space Needle from downtown. So it's such a walkable city. You know, it's great for families. Like you said, you brought your 4-month-old. You can bring your stroller and walk all around. It's a little hilly, so you get a good workout in, but there's also great public transportation to get you to and from.
Okay. So, and you know what? If you're walking up and down those hills, you're earning.
Yeah, you're earning that food.
That's right. Now, that's interesting. You had mentioned how many wineries, and I guess I just don't think Seattle and wine.
Yeah.
But that's amazing.
It is, and we're second in the nation behind California in number of wineries that we do have, and most of the grapes are grown on the eastern side of the state where it's dry and hot. But a lot of the wineries have tasting rooms in Woodinville, which is 30 minutes from Seattle. So there are over 70 tasting rooms in Woodinville, and there are also several tasting rooms just in the urban Seattle downtown area. So whatever you're looking to do, it's very accessible. A lot of the locally owned grocery stores will carry these wines as well, so you can pick them up at the store, you can pick them up at the tasting room, and you put it in your checked luggage. But it's really accessible, and it's growing. We have really amazing wines.
So I have a question here from our producer Anthony. He wants to know the Washington wines. What's really popular? Whites, reds? What's Washington known for?
Big reds, cabs, merlots, Bordeaux blends, kind of the French grapes. A lot of some Riesling, some Sauvignon Blanc, Viognier. It's still expanding, so you can get anything. Right now, of course, rosés are really in. I love a crisp rosé on a sunny day.
Yes,
so.
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
I imagine with the wineries taking off there that probably craft beer is not too far behind.
Oh, definitely. I mean, craft beer is very popular here, and it's more locally within the downtown area. So there's several breweries within walking distance, within all the neighborhoods, and they're all very distinct, and they're locally owned, and they are just, a lot of them have restaurants as well, so you can stay there for lunch or dinner and have a great pairing of food and beer and whatever you're for favor, an IPA or a Pilsner, it's there for you. So.
You got it. Okay, so we talked about the Space Needle. That's an obvious, and Pike's Place too. What else is a don't miss when you go to Seattle?
I think it's the arts and the culture here. We have a really amazing theater and entertainment scene. The Fifth Avenue Theater is really well known throughout the nation. Actually, several shows before they go on to Broadway have been tested in the Seattle market because it's such a hot theater scene, and we have very talented performers as well that live here, and we have the ballet, the symphony, so there's a lot to do from the culture and arts perspective. And thinking back to the 50th anniversary of the World's Fair, there's so much happening in that Seattle Center campus throughout October. It's April through October is the celebration, but there's just a lot going on that you don't want to miss. Thinking about the future and innovative ideas and displays and speeches and films. So there's a lot happening right now.
Well, Kauilani, am I saying it right?
Yes, you are.
I was practicing before. Kauilani Robinson with Seattle Convention and Visitors Bureau. Thank you so much for telling us about the Emerald City, a must-stop place for any traveler out there. Too much to do for one trip, but we suggest you check it out. Coming up next, popular travel deals. This week, we're chatting with our local travel agent about some special group tours to Europe. You're listening to Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network. I'm Patti Piburn.
The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back shortly. Did you know our weekly Saturday morning radio show also has a video simulcast on Ustream? You can watch it live or view pre-recorded versions while on the go by simply downloading our free Eat, Drink, Explore app for your smartphone or tablet device. To find it, just head to Google Play or the Apple App Store and search Eat, Drink, Explore. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Curious about information you've heard on today's show? Just head to eatdrinkexplore.com and head to the weekly program summary section under the radio tab. We always list the websites and any other important facts associated with each of our guests we have on the program. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Thank you for being a regular listener to the Eat, Drink, Explore radio program. If you have any feedback for us, we'd love to hear it. Simply send a note to radio@eatdrinkexplore.com. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Curious about information you've heard on today's show? Just head to eatdrinkexplore.com and head to the weekly program summary section under the radio tab. We always list the websites and any other important facts associated with each of our guests we have on the program. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back shortly. Did you know our weekly Saturday morning radio show also has a video simulcast on Ustream? You can watch it live or view pre-recorded versions while on the go by simply downloading our free Eat, Drink, Explore app for your smartphone or tablet device. To find it, just head to Google Play or the Apple App Store and search Eat, Drink, Explore.
You waited all week, and it's finally here. The Eat, Drink, Explore Weekly Travel Deals Extravaganza.
And good Saturday morning, everyone. I'm Patti Piburn. I am in for the vacationing Randol White. He is taking some much-deserved time off, and at this moment, he's in Wisconsin. We're going to hear from him a little bit later. Right now, it is time to hear insight from the best of the best, the gurus of bargains, the luminaries of budget travel. This week, we are hearing from our local go-to travel agent, Mr. Brant Myers, with Gulliver's Travel right here in San Luis Obispo. Welcome back, Brant. We're always glad to have you here because you are a wealth of travel knowledge, and today you are talking about 2 wonderful trips.
That's right. Thanks for having me back. Pretty excited. We always try to expand what a traveler considers a vacation or a trip, and really looking to maximize your time. You don't want to just fly somewhere and hang out. We want you to kind of think out of the box. So our travel agency is pretty good at putting together a few annual trips a year where we get a good group together, we get good rate for our travelers, and we're able to really customize something that would appeal to especially people in the Central Coast, eating, drinking, and exploring. Right up your alley.
Perfect. And you know what, Brant? What I like about your advice is that you are so well traveled yourself. So when we're hearing from you, we know that you've been there, done that.
Learn from my mistakes and take my knowledge with you. Absolutely. We're always more than happy to share what we've learned.
All right. Trip number 1. What do you have for us?
This is actually a trip that organized by one of our owners, Ingrid English, and she's pretty well known throughout the community, and she does these amazing trips. And this year, next year, she's doing in May, she's doing a trip in Portugal. It's a river cruise with one of the leading river cruise lines called Uniworld. And they won Condé Nast Travel and Leisure Awards. They're constantly recognized as one of the best of the best. And this one takes you through the Douro Valley aboard a boat. It's about 130 cabins. There's a few left, so by all means, let us know if you'd like to. And best part about this is a feature where her husband is part of Cafe Musique, and it's a San Luis Obispo's premier gypsy band, and they not only are on board with you, but they play every night, and you're cruising through wine country in Portugal on a beautiful river aboard a beautiful boat, listening to this
How
gypsy
cool
music.
is that? You're traveling
Can't
with
go
a,
wrong.
a band of gypsies entertaining you with live music.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Exactly. So that's that's something that you wouldn't really get that these
You're
groups
right.
kind of offer.
That is definitely a unique travel experience.
And she's done it before, and again, you can't go wrong with this Uniworld cruise. And we've sent people all over the place in Europe. One of those things that you just don't realize until you hear about it. When, cruising the Danube, going along the Rhine, you can go from Amsterdam out to the Middle East on a river. So really cool stuff out there. And this is one of the beautiful undiscovered places. Nobody really thinks of Portugal, but really starts in Salamanca. You start in Spain, beautiful golden city, and it ends up in Porto, where you can have port. Can't go wrong. Going through wine country, they source local foods and fruits from the farmer's market at every port. So you're getting a flavor of the place as well as local wines, and really just experiencing it as it should be experienced.
Now that just sounds amazing. Okay, so I have a couple of questions for you. Logistics, how soon would someone have to book this trip to get one of those remaining spots, and what's the price range we're talking about?
Well, that's a good question. They've been slowly filling up through word of mouth. Definitely have a few cabins as far as sooner the better. They're not going to be there if they're not there, so you can't do much about that. Price range, it starts at $3,800, and that's the cruise and a little land tour. You can do an extra 3 days in Lisbon, and she just got back from Morocco, and she's doing a pre-tour, 12 days in Morocco, exploring all the beauty of Morocco. So, you're right there. You already made the flight. That money's out of the way.
So you can do a little extended travel and maximize your time.
Absolutely. That's what I feel about flights. You pay the money for the flight. You're already there. You might as well explore it to the maximum potential. And that little side trip to Casablanca, and you can't go wrong there. Jump on a boat, live in a lap of luxury.
So having done just a little bit of traveling, not nearly as much traveling as you have, Brant, I know the benefit of traveling with people who have some know-how and some confidence and experience. It really can make your travel totally different than if you're there and you're just kind of figuring it out yourself. So that really is worth a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah. Having that person that's on the ground and that's done it before and just knows, you learn from their mistakes because they've been there, they've seen it. They might have stayed at a hotel they would never go to, or they might have stayed at the best hotel last time, and they just want everybody to experience it. And that's really what it's all about.
You can take advantage of that knowledge. Okay. So trip number 2, what do you have for us?
Trip number two is the one I put together. It's right up my alley. And I think a lot of people around here will enjoy it as well. It's a bike tour of Belgium. And it's called the Belgian Bike Beer Tour. So
I like that.
The three
Bikes,
Bs.
bikes and beer.
It sounds dangerous, but it's really casual. You go through Belgium, Flanders region, Wallonia, and even dip into the French Pyrenees for a bit. I'm sorry, not the French Pyrenees. That's way off. But that's another trip I'm thinking about.
Wait, we're getting sidetracked here.
Exactly. So I'm a beer lover myself, and Belgium is just kind of the motherland of good beers and stuff that you just can't get here, or if you can, it's going to be not as good as if you're in the brewery watching monks brew it. So it's about a 9-day tour, and you get a good solid hybrid bike. It's not a mountain bike, it's not a road bike. Very good pace, enough biking, but not so much that you feel like you're biking at the end of the day. About 10 miles a day, and you just go from little inns and beds and breakfasts, and you have a personal guided tour that they get you access to these breweries, they get you into these restaurants, and you get to experience some of the best beers in the world while riding around. And the intimacy of being on a bicycle is same with the river cruise. It's that slow pace. You get to see a little bit more. You're not just zooming by on a train or flying over something on your way to the next city. You get to experience it, and being able to kind of experience it as it was built. These towns weren't built for cars. They weren't built for trains. They were built for walking and pedestrians, and being on a bike is just a fun way to do it. And who doesn't want a couple beers and jump on a cobblestone road and ride around to the next brewery? It's going to be a lot of fun.
Okay, so I agree with you. Seeing it on a bike is a totally different experience. You're just right there, and you're going to have more interaction with the people. You're going to see it in a different way. We, years ago, did a car trip through several places in Europe, and that's another way I think a bike is even more so. But you just get a different flavor because you're not on that typical tourist track, right?
Absolutely. That's definitely one thing that sets it apart, is that you don't get to be stuck in these large city centers. You're not at transportation hubs. You're going out of the way. You're interacting more with the locals. You're seeing countryside, and you're seeing stuff that you just can't see based on the new transportation technology. So that way you get to experience what it should be, and you really have that feeling of being there as opposed to just traveling through a place.
Okay, so on this trip, again, logistically speaking, when would someone want to book this? When's it happening, and what's our price range?
Well, I'm doing this in fall. It's the best time of year to travel is September, and doing it fall of next year. And the price range, it's actually pretty reasonable because it's bicycles, so you don't have to worry about the cruise ship. And it's $2,000 per person, and you're staying at these, beautiful little quaint bed and breakfast, so it's all taken care of. You're having, beer pairings and dinner served by locals every night, and it's a really fun way. And that's 8 or 9 days. It's not too bad.
Wow, that sounds really reasonable. $2,000. Now, do you have to buy airfare in addition to that, or
Yes.
so in addition to that you get your airfare, but that includes the tour, the bicycle, and all of that?
Exactly. And if you buy this far in advance, the airfare is pretty reasonable if you plan ahead. And the whole trip in a whole, about a week and a half for $3,500, including all your spending money, not a bad way to be.
And Brant's the man to find you the deal on the airfare if you are signing up for the bike and beer tour.
Absolutely.
Bike,
Full service.
beers, Belgium. What could be better? And I like the alliteration. So really quickly, I'm heading off to Europe on Wednesday. Half of the trip is a guided, organized tour. It's part of a school trip. Then we're heading up to the northern part of Spain, Santiago. Do you have any tips for me while I'm there?
Oh, just enjoy the local flavor. It's beautiful. It's Mediterranean at its best. So sit out, enjoy the sunshine, get yourself some sangria, and eat as much as possible. Spain's an amazing place to be.
I like this advice. Tell me more. Drink, eat. It's great. We're going to be, my aunt actually lives there in Pontevedra in an old stone house that was actually part like a barn and stables and stuff. They've converted into a home. So I haven't seen it before, so it's going to be fun. Have you been to that area?
I've been as far north as Madrid, and I went the southern route. I wanted to go to the beautiful Costa Blanca and check out the Mediterranean. But I've heard it's beautiful, and I know even the Catalonia region is amazing.
I'll let you know when I come back.
Please do.
I'll have an update for you. Maybe you can plan a trip there next. Okay, Brant Myers with Gulliver's Travel in San Luis Obispo. He is our local travel expert. I love those trips. They sound really fascinating. I'm sitting here thinking, what am I doing next September? $2,000, bike, beer, Belgium. Yeah, Anthony, our producer, and the wheels are turning in his head. He's thinking the same thing. Can we be part of this?
Who doesn't want to go?
All right. This hour of Eat, Drink, Explore Radio brought to you by Kelly's at the Grill at Hunter Ranch. Dine under the oaks, surrounded by the beautiful rolling green hills, located just 3 miles from the 101.
It's the top of the hour and time once again for the latest from the Eat, Drink, Explore news desk.
Good morning, Eat, Drink, Explorers. I'm Curtis Cole, and here's a look at what's making news. Cruise lines will soon be working to reduce their carbon footprints. Port Authority officials say they will approve the Shore Power project to allow cruise ships to plug in to onshore power sources, which allow them to shut down their engines while in port. In the past, cruise lines have run their engines 24 hours a day, spewing fumes for weeks at a time to keep all onboard amenities in functioning condition. Now this project will begin to raise the bar for responsible vacationing methods and reduce the dependence on petroleum in the travel industry. A recent study has showed that people are more likely to eat unhealthy foods when they are sleep deprived. The The New York Obesity Research Center conducted several studies to determine if there's a connection between sleep and eating habits. Participants were shown pictures of food after alternating on a full night's sleep or just 4 hours. They concluded that sleep deprivation impairs the frontal lobe of the brain from making healthy choices, more specifically those involving food. So next time you decide to reach for a tub of chocolate ice cream, consider whether or not you got enough sleep the night before. Recent blind taste tests have ranked some New Jersey wines side by side with veteran wines from none other than France, some worth more than $600 a bottle. 9 wine consumers took a blind taste test called the Judgment of Princeton in New Jersey that pitted the reds and whites of famous French wineries against some local $2 chucks. The results? Indistinguishable. $15 American wines were matched up against wines that sell between $80 and $600 in France. And the result margins were so narrow that a redo would likely result in different results. It's difficult to come to a conclusion after 9 sets of taste buds determine the values of wines, but it's exciting to see that the artisan skills of winemaking are prevalent throughout America. With Father's Day just 1 day away, a new survey shows that the paternal holiday is becoming more personal. The National Retail Federation's Father's Day survey shows that behind greeting cards, 44% of consumers say they plan to spend money on events or activities that allow them to be together as a family. The holiday is becoming less about consumer goods and more about spending time together. For those of you that are going to be doing some summer traveling, air travel reports show that more flights are arriving on time to their destinations. The U.S. Department of Transportation say that 86% of flights in April arrived on time. Among most of the punctual airlines in the sky are Hawaiian Airlines, AirTran, Delta Airlines, Alaska Airlines, and U.S. Airways. Some notable airlines on the trend to be tardy are American Airlines and United Airlines. So if you're planning to take a trip in business class, choose your flight wisely. We're going to look at a little bit of weather around the country right now on this third weekend of June. Shows hotter than average temperatures throughout much of the nation as we're getting ready for that summer heat. There are a few stubborn thunderstorms remaining in the Midwest, as well as a possible tornado threat around Wisconsin and Minnesota. So watch out, Randol White, if you're out there. Be careful. I don't know whether it's good or not. But there's an extreme weather warning in the southeastern coast of Mexico as a tropical storm Carlota heads into shore, where winds could approach speeds up to 90 miles per hour. There's also high flood and landslide warnings. Our west coast, however, continues to hold its temperatures from the low to mid-70s as we enjoy our weekend under blue skies and beautiful weather. Personally, I will be heading out to Santa Ynez this weekend, which I'm expecting some beautiful, beautiful weather. And that's the latest from our Eat, Drink, Explore news desk. I'm Curtis Cole. Stick around for the Eat, Drink, Explore live Saturday morning program with your host, Patti Piburn.
Eat, Drink, Explore Media is your lifestyle information source. Our focus, food, wine, craft beer, travel, and tourism trends, with a slant towards sustainable and healthy options. Whether it's hot deals or tips for hotels and flights, an update on what's currently fresh at your local farmers market, or the latest restaurant and beverage news, we've got you covered from 8 to 10 each and every Saturday morning. Live on Crush 92.5 in San Luis Obispo County and online at eatdrinkexplore.com. Also, check out our new free smartphone and tablet app. Simply search 3 words, Eat, Drink, Explore, either in Google Play on your Android device or in the App Store on your iPhone or iPad. This free app gives you access to contests, past radio segments, our Facebook and Twitter feeds, and you can watch live video of the radio broadcast while listening to it here on The Crush. Eat, Drink, Explore Media, your source for the lifestyle you love.
Seems everybody's going organic, including lawn care. Did you know communities across the country are converting their lawns, playgrounds, and playing fields to an organic care program? And it's working. You can safely control weeds and pests and have a beautiful lawn. Your kids, pets, and water supplies will be safer, and your neighbors will be green with envy. Oh, and in the long run, organic lawn care is cheaper than doing it the conventional way. Switch to organic lawn care today. Visit pesticidefreelawns.org. The folks who brought you this public service message. Check out pesticidefreelawns.org today.
Take a moment and see if you can guess what I'm doing. I'm getting healthy by walking. Walking daily has tons of health benefits, managing weight, lowering cholesterol and blood pressure, and improving your overall mood. So, whether it's around your neighborhood or over your lunch break, just take a walk. For your free booklet, visit wrinstitute.org or call toll-free 877-957-7575 and find us on Facebook and Twitter. The Will Rogers Institute, since 1936.
Delicious, nutritious, and fabulously fun.
Is this real life?
Best of all, your comments.
That was a real money saver. Thanks, Randol.
So did it work out for you?
Your hotel tip was spot on.
You're listening to the Eat, Drink, Explore radio network. But don't just sit there. It's an interactive program, honey.
Are you sure this is legal? I don't know. It's fun though, isn't it?
Pick your pleasure. Tweet, chat, post, email, even call us on the telly. Whatever works for you. Our topics today, food, drinks, travel, and a whole lot more fun. So let's pop the cork on this thing and get the party started. Give it up now for our fantastic host, the wonderful and talented Mr. Randol White.
I think that's the champagne talking.
Good morning, and knowing Randol White, it is definitely the champagne talking. We're so glad that you're joining us for our show today. I'm Patti Piburn. I'm filling in for Mr. Randol White, coming to you live from historic downtown San Luis Obispo, right here in the heart of all the action, bringing you as much current information as possible so you can enjoy your life in a healthy, fun, and sustainable manner. Coming up, we are going to be talking to USC neuroanthropologist John Allen. Find out why we crave the foods we crave, why we want crispy, crunchy, sweet, spicy, salty food, good and bad. Oh, I can't wait to hear more from him. Also, we are talking winemaking in San Luis Obispo County and a big series of events coming up next weekend celebrating our local wine industry. I think we celebrate that every day, don't we? Or I do. Is that wrong? And Anthony, our producer, says he's been celebrating wine every day this week. Okay, we are heading back right now to Madison, Wisconsin, where our very own Randol White is on vacation. Randol White, you're not on vacation this morning because you're joining us.
I know, and I've been listening online to the show, and everything sounds great. Curtis is doing a great job with the news, too.
Curtis, is your microphone turned on?
I sure hope so.
It is, yeah.
Okay. I thought he was doing an excellent job. He's going to be working with us for the summer, and first day on the job, Good job, Curtis Cole.
I have to say so, and now I understand why I'm eating so poorly on my trip, because I'm not getting much sleep.
Uh-oh, you better watch out for that one.
I know. Dinner last night was a couple of pieces of pizza and a lot of locally made beer.
So we're celebrating wine here on the Central Coast, and you are celebrating craft beer in Madison, Wisconsin?
I am. Capital Brewery. It's a good one, and I think you can find it at some local specialty shops in California from time to time. They do a lot of shipping. They're one of those microbreweries that is less about being a restaurant and more about, making the beer. And it's delicious. Great stuff. So if you see it on the shelves and, you're curious about it, go ahead and grab one. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
So, Randol, what are you doing in September? Bike, beer, Belgium? How's that sound?
I heard that, and what a great idea. My travel calendar is full for the year, so like you, I think I'm going to have to schedule out into 2013. Hey, speaking of travel, I took that Amtrak California Zephyr to Chicago, and I've said this a million times. Chicago is one of my favorite cities in the U.S., if not my favorite city. It can be expensive, though, like any large city. Get a load of this, Patty. I stayed at the Hilton Chicago. It is right across from, that big fountain at the beginning of Married with Children?
Yes.
That's called Buckingham Fountain, and that's in Grant Park. And it's adjacent to a new park, a relatively new park called Millennium Park, that is really one of the best places in all of Chicago to just enjoy the outdoors and the city skyline, and so much stuff to do there. Well, this hotel is directly across the street from both of those parks, and we stayed there. Beautiful, beautiful renovated rooms, that super comfortable beds, flat screen televisions, all that sort of thing, for $94
wow.
a night. Yeah.
And how did you get that deal?
It was a Priceline bid, and I know that people are afraid sometimes to do those blind bids because you don't know what you're going to get.
Because you're not sure where you might end up.
And I've done a lot of them over the years in different cities, and I have to say I've had the best luck in Chicago. Every time I've done it, I've stayed at one of the top properties in town for less than $100. So, right on Michigan Avenue.
That is awesome. So it sounds like you're having a good trip, and so far the weather has been cooperating.
It has been cooperating. It's been nice, clear, sunny blue skies all the way across the United States. Nice and clear in the Rockies. You can catch that video that I took of the Colorado River on our YouTube page. And and then the entire time in Chicago was clear. Yesterday was clear here in Wisconsin when we arrived. However, this morning I got a little sprinkle when I stepped outside. But that's not going to stop me from, we've rented bicycles and we're headed to the city's big downtown farmers market, which will have about an hour left when I'm done talking with you.
that was my next question. I was going to say, what is next on the itinerary? So you're hitting the bicycles and you're going to the farmers market.
Yeah, we rented bikes. It's $30 for the entire week for some of these like cruisers, which is very reasonable. And you can get around this city so well on bicycles that's what we're going to be. That'll be our main form of transportation if we don't get the thunderstorms and tornadoes that Curtis mentioned.
Watch out there. You never know. It could take a turn for the worse when you're out there looking at organic produce.
I know, and I hope it doesn't, that's for sure. But there's lots of activities going on downtown today, and we'll be taking advantage of those for sure. Just like Chicago, this is a wonderful town. The Midwest, you need to put it on your list of places to travel. I know it's like a flyover region for a lot of people going from coast to coast, but it is worth a visit. And I need to mention, by the way, do I have time, Patty, to mention? Do I have like 30
yes,
seconds?
You do have time to mention. You have more than 30 seconds. You actually have like 2 minutes. And I was going to say, I want you to mention, because I was cut off, and it's my own fault, last time around. I just got talking with Brant, our travel guy from Gulliver's Travel,
right.
And I went over the time. So are you going to mention Kelly's at the Grill?
I am. Eat, Drink, Explore Radio is brought to you this hour by Kelly's at the Grill at Hunter Ranch Golf Course. And what a wonderful place to go for a great brunch tomorrow if you're considering. The best-kept restaurant secret on the Central Coast, Kelly's at the Grill at Hunter Ranch Golf Course, open 7 days a week for breakfast and lunch. Happy hour, indeed, daily from 3 to 6, and dinners on Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays. Located on 46 East past Airport Road in Paso Robles, just across the highway from Eberly, our other sponsor on this show.
You did a very nice job, and you got to say the location. That's where I was cut off, right in the middle of the location. But Brant Meyer's travel deals from Gulliver's Travel in San Luis Obispo were really, really intriguing. And that Bike Beer Belgium trip that he has planned for September, I was just wanting to tell him, put my name. Sign me
up. That's a great one. I love how Brant combined all of our topics, eating, drinking, and exploring.
That's right.
He knows what he's doing. Sounds like it. And we love having him on the show. I look forward to the next time he comes back as well.
Curtis was making that observation. Eat, drink, explore. It was all combined in his beer and bike and Belgium trip.
Eating, your next guest, I cannot wait to hear that about the what makes us crave crunchy, salty, sweet, and all those wonderful things.
You know, the book is fascinating, Randall. You passed it off to me since you were going to be on this vacation, and I've been reading it. It's just fascinating to read about some of the science behind why we want to eat what we eat, why something is appealing or why something is classified as bad, but yet we still want to eat it, donuts, right. Perhaps.
I wonder if he can chime in on the study that Curtis mentioned. He might have some insight into why, if we're sleep deprived, we would then, crave bad food.
That's right. And you know what? We're going to be asking him because just after the break, Randall White, stick around. We're talking to neuroanthropologist John Allen from USC for some insight on just how our ancestors from thousands of years ago are influencing how we eat today. You're listening to Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network live from San Luis Obispo on this Saturday morning. I'm Patti Piburn filling in for Randall White. We're back in just a moment.
The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back shortly. Did you know our weekly Saturday morning radio show also has a video simulcast on Ustream? You can watch it live or view pre-recorded versions while on the go by simply downloading our free Eat, Drink, Explore app for your smartphone or tablet device. To find it, just head to Google Play or the Apple App Store and search Eat, Drink, Explore. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Curious about information you've heard on today's show? Just head to eatdrinkexplore.com and head to the weekly program summary section under the radio tab. We always list the websites and any other important facts associated with each of our guests we have on the program. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Thank you for being a regular listener to the Eat, Drink, Explore radio program. If you have any feedback for us, we'd love to hear it. Simply send a note to radio@eatdrinkexplore.com. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Curious about information you've heard on today's show? Just head to eatdrinkexplore.com and head to the weekly program summary section under the radio tab. We always list the websites and any other important facts associated with each of our guests we have on the program. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back shortly. Did you know our weekly Saturday morning radio show also has a video simulcast on Ustream? You can watch it live or view pre-recorded versions while on the go by simply downloading our free Eat, Drink, Explore app for your smartphone or tablet device. To find it, just head to Google Play or the Apple App Store and search Eat, Drink, Explore.
To our program on this Saturday morning. I'm your guest host, Patti Piburn, in for our Randol White. He is on vacation this morning in Madison, Wisconsin. Joining us on the phone, we have John Allen. He's from USC, neuroanthropologist, also the author of The Omnivorous Mind. And it's all about food and why we eat what we eat. I can't wait to hear more about this. Good morning, John. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so in this past week, I haven't read the entire book, but I have been paging through it and hitting some of the highlights. It's really fascinating, and I intend to read the entire thing because it really piqued my interest as I started to read about it. So you are looking at food in a different way, in sort of a historical and scientific way.
Yeah, I mean, the initial goal was to talk about how we think food, that we eat with our minds as much as our mouths and our stomachs, and look at that over our evolutionary past. And certainly, there are certain times in our past when people think our changing diet was critically important, and then to bring it up into more contemporary times in looking how culture influences the mind and how cognitive aspects of or basically thinking influences how you eat.
So one of the things that I read in your book is that there were some key developments evolutionarily speaking for humans, and And fishing, we think maybe is one of those moments where that gave us a big advantage and really literally fed our brains.
Well, there are two views on that. One is that actual marine foods provided certain fatty acids that may have been critical. But I think even more, not so much the specific thing, but when our ancestors first started to use, who are somewhat ape-like and then changing slowly over a few million years, that sign of using marine resources is a sign of this expanding omnivory. And I call us the super omnivores because we eat, as a species, we eat just about anything. But then even beyond just being omnivores, we also don't eat just about anything. And what we do and don't eat is governed both by our biology and our culture.
Right. So, and I have to admit, I'm one of those people that there's definitely a high ooh factor for certain foods. And we'll get right into the crispy one because I think that's pretty intriguing. And I want to tell you, just a few weeks back, I was in Pismo Beach here on the Central Coast, and I was working on a story. And I came across some kids ranging the age of 5, 7, 8 years old, and they had stopped at a candy shop, and what they were ordering to eat were dried insects. And they thought it was just the coolest, fun, they just thought, oh, look at us, we're eating insects. And it was cute, but it was also gross, honestly.
Yeah, for our backgrounds, yes.
So explain the connection between our desire for crispy, crunchy, and maybe insects.
Well, if you go way back in our evolutionary history, which is let's say the origins of primates, which is maybe about 60 million years ago, we have a lot. Even today, there are little prosimian sort of primates. They're those kind of odd-looking ones like tarsiers and some lemurs. The lemurs, a lot of those eat a lot of insects. And going back in time, the thing that may have helped us differentiates us from other kinds of mammals was to have an insect eating, a predation sort of habit based on bugs. And so if we go back that far, bugs are crispy and so on. And that's pretty distantly far. But if we go to more closer relatives of ours, they'll eat bugs. It isn't their favorite food, but they certainly will eat them. And chimps will eat termites and so on. And then if we look at look at human cultures across the globe, we see quite a bit of insect eating. It's just not something that a mammal with a body our size, unless you tap into whole termite mounds or like ant colonies like an anteater, we can't really survive just on insects. But we have that in our background potentially.
Right. So there really isn't an insect supply that we could become insect eaters. But culturally speaking, obviously there are still places where chocolate-covered grasshoppers are considered a special treat.
It is. I mean, it would always, and the thing I kind of relate this to more in more recent evolutionary past is that it's obvious that we have these appeals for based on our sensory appeals of sugar and sweet and salty and umami, sort of savory stuff, and maybe even fatty. Are basically, we don't have the appeal. Crispy is not necessarily a taste. And so one thing I look at is that if we have these preferred foods, if they're sort of fruits and so on, we also, primates they call them fallback foods, are the foods you eat when the best foods aren't available. And a lot of those fallback foods, such as insects or just vegetable matter, stalks or leaves, are actually sort of crispy and crunchy. So to have some appeal beyond the basic sort of sensory ones, maybe crispy and crunchy provides that as well.
Because that's sort of the process of eating, the sound of eating, the texture in your mouth, all of those kinds of things are being triggered beyond just taste and nutrition, right?
Right, and the sound is an interesting one, I think, as we get looking at what people are like, what we do today. I was thinking as I was eating a bowl of popcorn, watching a basketball game or something a couple weeks ago, and I realized all I was doing was enjoying the crunch of it, that I'd sort of habituated to the flavor of the popcorn and the saltiness even of it, but the crunch kept me kind of engaged with it.
It's how we can power through a whole bag of potato chips and then go, oh, what did I just do?
Right, because it's actually a more loaded sensory experience.
Like a tactile kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's got all that going. And it's interesting about the kids, if you really want to, and the whole book is sort of dealing with these eating things at different levels. If we could get up to an even more sort of psychological level, contemporary level, is a lot of these crunchy and crispy foods now are sort of considered to be bad for you because a lot of them have fat, high fat content or salt. But to even eat them, you can get a sort of enjoyment out of the fact that you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing. And like those kids on the beach, part of the thrill of eating those bugs was to be eating something that wasn't, quote, normal.
Right. Yes. It was like the kind of shock factor. They're like, look at me. I'm eating grasshoppers and worms. And and they thought that was
providing this sort of secondary advantage.
But they were all dried, like you said. So they were crispy and crunchy. So that it kind of played into that. Now, you mentioned salty a couple of times, and that's something that we know from a health standpoint really can be bad for us. But I included, a lot of people have sort of a craving for salt, especially at certain times.
Oh, sure. I mean, we need sodium, for basic function. And there's a lot of studies, and some have come out quite recently. There are some people who definitely salt's really quite bad for them in higher levels, and some people probably less so, but we get a sort of blanket indictment of salt. But, yes, it certainly is one of those things that people can have a crave at a sort of physiological level.
So we only have 2 minutes left. I'm watching the clock ticking, John, and I'm really thinking, gosh, I wish I had more time because I honestly have so many questions. Yeah. But do you have any information for pregnant women who get really strong cravings? I had some weird ones. I wanted super spicy foods, and I went through one pregnancy where salt, I could not get enough salt. Does this have a tie-in?
Pregnancy cravings are I didn't really discuss it. They're a fairly complex thing. I'd say, to some extent, in moderation, that they're okay to indulge. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't be, but why we would have specific ones, I don't know offhand.
Oh, well, interesting. And of course, I have to say, you always have to check with your doctor if you're, going crazy on salt or something.
Yeah,
but those pregnancy cravings can really be overpowering.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I said, I do have more questions for you. And if you have a moment to stay on the line with us, we'd like you to hold on for just a moment. We're going to have to do some commercial breaks and, sort of the business of the show. But if you have some time, we're going to keep you on the line. What do you think?
Okay, I'll hang on.
Okay, well, that's awesome. John Allen with USC, a neuroanthropologist, has this great book out called The Omnivorous Mind. He's filling us in on some of the reasons why we eat what we do, why we crave what we crave. And coming up in just a few moments, we'll also be speaking with the winemaker from Letitia Vineyards in San Luis Obispo County. He's going to be talking about green winemaking practices. Also, big upcoming event, Roll Out the Barrels, happening in downtown San Luis Obispo. He'll be talking more about that. And you are listening to Eat, Drink, Explore Radio Network live from downtown San Luis Obispo on this beautiful Saturday morning. I'm Patti Piburn, filling in this morning for Randol White, and we're back in just a few moments.
The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back shortly. Did you know our weekly Saturday morning radio show also has a video simulcast on Ustream? You can watch it live or view pre-recorded versions while on the go by simply downloading our free Eat, Drink, Explore app for your smartphone or tablet device. To find it, just head to Google Play or the Apple App Store and search Eat, Drink, Explore. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Curious about information you've heard on today's show? Just head to eatdrinkexplore.com and head to the weekly program summary section under the radio tab. We always list the websites and any other important facts associated with each of our guests we have on the program. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Thank you for being a regular listener to the Eat, Drink, Explore radio program. If you have any feedback for us, we'd love to hear it. Simply send a note to radio@eatdrinkexplore.com. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Curious about information you've heard on today's show? Just head to eatdrinkexplore.com and head to the weekly program summary section under the radio tab. We always list the websites and any other important facts associated with each of our guests we have on the program. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back shortly. Did you know our weekly Saturday morning radio show also has a video simulcast on Ustream? You can watch it live or view pre-recorded versions while on the go by simply downloading our free Eat, Drink, Explore app for your smartphone or tablet device. To find it, just head to Google Play or the Apple App Store and search Eat, Drink, Explore.
Welcome back to the Eat, Drink, Explore radio network. Here now is your fabulous host, Mr. Randol White.
I think she meant your fabulous guest host, Miss Patti Piburn. I'm filling in for Randol White. He is fabulous, and he just sent me a little message that he's out the door in Madison, Wisconsin. He's getting on a bicycle and heading over to the farmer's market. He's enjoying a vacation, and I'm here on this Saturday morning with you all enjoying downtown San Luis Obispo, talking about food, wine, craft beer, travel, tourism, health, you name it, all things Eat, Drink, Explore related. That's what we're talking about. I have in my hands, for those of you who are watching, some people are watching online, this great book, The Omnivorous Mind. It is by John Allen. He is with USC. He's a neuroanthropologist. I have been reading through this book. It's simply fascinating. We kept John Allen on the line so we can ask him more questions related to why we choose to eat what we eat, why we crave certain things, and why we might have an aversion to certain foods. So joining us again, good morning, John. Thanks for staying with us.
Thanks.
So one of the things I was reading in your book is, you know, I love Indian food. I love spicy food. I will sit through a meal with my mouth on fire and sweat pouring down, but I can't stop. Can you explain that phenomenon?
Not wanting to stop eating spicy food?
Yes.
Well, you know, there's a lot of the spicy food thinking is based on endogenous opioids and various brain chemicals that as the pain. You have all sorts of mechanisms in your brain to quell the pain that you might be experiencing. So if you know that it's really not going to be anything other than a temporary pain, then you start to enjoy that feeling. It's people equate it to a runner's high.
So you just fight through the pain so that you can enjoy something like your favorite spicy Indian food or what have you, salsa.
And it's important, you know, that you're kind of getting a sort of an override there. You're not at a base level. You're not, because you're getting this response, but you're overriding it because you know it really isn't causing you any damage.
Got it.
It's causing you little short-term damage, but it's not causing you long, like most real pain would be. You'd have to worry about that.
Right, not like a broken limb or something. It's food. Or
like the first. As I write in there, I think, you know, somebody, you know, Native American in South America ate the first pepper and didn't just say, I'm never going to eat this stuff again, but decided that it was worth something to eat and to cultivate. And, you know, billions of people around the world have whoever that was to thank, but that was an interesting thing that person did.
Okay, so now there are some foods that we have an aversion to that I have a friend who really will do anything to avoid broccoli. In fact, she can't even have it touch her other food.
Right.
And then there's food that we think of as quote unquote, I'm doing air quotes, you can't see them, bad food, but yet we secretly really want to have that donut or have that box of Milk Duds. So what's that all about?
Well, it's interesting. I reviewed a lot of literature on genetics of taste, and there's a classic anthropology lab class with a certain chemical that there's really a genetic predisposition or genetic tendency that you cannot taste it at certain levels and other people can, and you can kind of do little genetic studies that way, and that does relate to the sort of broccoli type family of foods. But other than that, when they actually try to look to see if these match up to what people eat in developed countries and in our contemporary environment, the correlations are pretty low, actually. So that's sort of interesting. There's not a lot of genetic variation is playing some role, but probably not a significant role. So one thing that I think that we have, and we're fortunate in this case, to have this steady food supply of a reasonable varied diet, is that we do have the luxury of saying, I'm not eating that, right? Because there's food coming somewhere else.
Right. It's not the only thing. It's not the only choice you have.
Exactly. I mean, you got a whole supermarket, full of stuff. If we're really fortunate to be in that position. But the flip side of that, of course, is eating too much, right? And eating too much of the stuff that is, I say, really pushes the strong buttons, the sweet and the fat.
Now, I didn't get to read a lot in your book on that topic, but you do address why we overeat. You do talk about why people tend to eat more than they really should or need to.
Well, I think, for much of our evolutionary history, you ate what was there, and there was a lot of pressure to, whether this goes back through various primates, I mean, that if you had a food source, then you had to eat it. And otherwise you might not have it tomorrow, or you might not have time to eat it then. There might be a predator that would come and knock you away, or somebody else, others of your own species. But
it's not like you could put it in the refrigerator in your cave.
Exactly. And this gets, as we get to be more people-like, and we're perhaps better at, say, hunting larger animals, then you get this dilemma of, I got this big dead mastodon or whatever it is you're hunting, but I can't eat it all. So then it becomes a social thing. And I think, a lot of archaeologists and anthropologists have looked at feasting as being a sort of universal thing, that all cultures have sort of feast times, and they're highly social, and they're pleasant, often very pleasant and special. So eating more, there's lots of different reasons for why at any given eating time we might want to eat more.
Because there's a lot of different rewards then that are tying in. It's not just a nutrition activity. You're not just, I'm doing this because I have to stay alive, but there are other pleasure things involved.
Yes, and that's eating top to bottom, like any sort of complex thing that people do. The really basic ones. Eating is one of the most basic ones, and it has all sorts of different inputs.
So in your book, you address, you call it the omnivorous mind, and you talk about how we eat with our brain, and it's not just all about your stomach and your stomach's grumbling and you need to fill it. And people say half of your meal is a presentation. We eat with our eyes. So there's a lot of things that go into why we choose food. So address that whole visual aspect of it.
Well, as we're growing up, part of that visual, or really the presentation of food, is all created by your cultural environment. But as I say, I think our minds are sort of pre-adapted to not sort of take all those clues in piecemeal, so to speak, but to construct a way that we eat. And so in a way, I think how we learn to eat and where we arrive, say, as a young adult, is like learning a language. And you don't sit there and learn your language because someone is explicitly teaching you, at least your first language. You acquire it in a certain environment. So when we get down the line about what it is to eat in human cultures, what it is to eat is not just what you stick in your mouth, but how does it look and who's giving it to me and where we're going to eat it. even in times when foods are scarce in cultures, there's often a very prescribed way, a correct way of eating, and things that you still would not eat even if you were starving to death. And so all this, the visual appeal, the palatability, the social context, all that goes into this sort of mix-up thing that becomes what what you might think is, that's my normal way of eating. You don't call it a diet. If you want to switch it, it's like switching to a second language. You call that a diet. That's something that's, I think, fairly deeply ingrained in your mind as you develop.
So it's really a lifestyle, and eating is tied to so many different things. And when people say emotional eating, it really is emotional eating, right?
It can be emotional. It could be cerebral. But it's going to. By the time you're an adult, you've developed these habits that are fairly, that are fairly deep.
Pretty
and that's
ingrained.
Why I think if I say I can make an incredibly mundane observation that dieting is hard. Well, it's hard in part not just because things you don't like what you're changed to your taste, but you spent your whole life developing what I call a theory of food. That to change it is really a tough thing. Now it is changeable. I can learn. People learn second languages. Some people become totally fluent in a second language, and people can change their diet. But I think you have to appreciate just how ingrained it is at a mental level.
Very, very difficult. Now, John, we have in studio with us this morning Curtis Cole. He's a student who is working with our show for the summer, and he's a foodie. And that's kind of why he got this internship, because he's such a true foodie. He has a question for you, Curtis.
Hey, John. So looking at the social hierarchy of foods, there's dishes that people would eat that would kind of establish status, stuff like that. Where do you feel the crispy, crunchy snack foods where would they be placed in that kind of hierarchy?
Well, it's interesting. I think that changes over time because, as you might have, if we another origin, if we go back deep time, might have been part of an appeal of crispy, crunchy evolutionarily is that when we started cooking things, that's a good source of crispy, crunchy, especially on meats. And you might say, well, that would have been a more high, in terms of a simple hierarchy. You might have gone to the higher status people would have gotten the best bits. Mm-hmm. But then what we have here, of course, in contemporary society is a sort of inversion of what a lot of dietary hierarchies would have been, which is more availability of cheap calories that's more widespread, and that there are more. So calories are easily available to everyone, relatively inexpensively, but then certain foods are not. So it's sort of a weird, in America especially, we took the quality of food and made everybody sort of the same historically, and didn't emphasize elite foods. In France, they took the égalité and they made food into a more meritocracy. That is, everyone could appreciate food, but you would be celebrated for your palate or your culinary ability.
That is really interesting. That's an aspect I hadn't really considered. This, John, I have to say, fascinating book, The Omnivorous Mind. We're talking with John Allen. He is from USC. He's a neuroanthropologist. And if you haven't picked up The Omnivorous Mind, I suggest you pick up your own copy because you're not getting mine. John, a lot of times we give books away, and I'm not giving this away.
Oh, okay, great.
Yes, we're fighting over it. John, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
And yes, we have the producers here, Curtis, everyone saying, no, I want the copy. No, I want the copy.
Oh, great.
All right. Thanks, John. Coming up on Eat, Drink, Explore Radio, we are talking to Eric Hickey with Letitia Vineyards. That's straight ahead.
The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back shortly. Did you know our weekly Saturday morning radio show also has a video simulcast on Ustream? You can watch it live or view pre-recorded versions while on the go by simply downloading our free Eat, Drink, Explore app for your smartphone or tablet device. To find it, just head to Google Play or the Apple App Store and search Eat, Drink, Explore. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Curious about information you've heard on today's show? Just head to eatdrinkexplore.com and head to the weekly program summary section under the radio tab. We always list the websites and any other important facts associated with each of our guests we have on the program. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Thank you for being a regular listener to the Eat, Drink, Explore radio program. If you have any feedback for us, we'd love to hear it. Simply send a note to radio@eatdrinkexplore.com. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break. We will be back shortly. Get the latest audio, video, and breaking news from Eat, Drink, Explore Media by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We're easy to find. The URL extension for all of those sites is simply Eat, Drink, Explore. Thank you for your patience. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back on the air shortly. Curious about information you've heard on today's show? Just head to eatdrinkexplore.com and head to the weekly program summary section under the radio tab. We always list the websites and any other important facts associated with each of our guests we have on the program. The Eat, Drink, Explore radio show is currently in a local commercial break and will be back shortly. Did you know our weekly Saturday morning radio show also has a video simulcast on Ustream? You can watch it live or view pre-recorded versions while on the go by simply downloading our free Eat, Drink, Explore app for your smartphone or tablet device. To find it, just head to Google Play or the Apple App Store and search Eat, Drink, Explore.
Good Saturday morning. We're back. I'm Patti Piburn. I'm filling in for Randol White. He is enjoying himself at a farmer's market in Madison, Wisconsin right now. This morning, we are joined by Eric Hickey from Letitia Vineyards. Good morning, Eric. And you're talking about a couple of topics today, winemaking, your specialty, and a big event coming up, Roll Out the Barrels.
Yeah. Good morning. I'm excited about it.
Now, Eric, I've been to Letitia Vineyards. I did a story there, I feel like a couple years back. Was I talking with you?
I think you were. I've been around a long time, so it was probably me.
If I remember right, you were harvesting and just getting ready to crush the grapes, and I just was so fascinated watching you put together the press, which it's from Europe, right? Am I remembering this right?
Yeah. You're thinking of our basket presses, which are right there near the tasting room. They're the original old champagne basket presses, which we use exclusively for our sparkling winemaking. And so, yeah, that's what you saw happening.
That was really fascinating to watch. And I remember you were putting something in and saying that you were slowing or stunning the yeast. And I think I said, oh, you're taming the yeast.
Yeah, one of the processes with most winemaking is to give it just a little bit of sulfur when you first crush the grapes, get the juice. That way you can it's a control thing. You can knock back any natural yeast that may be there, and then you can add your own yeast of choice. And with sparkling winemaking, which, to be very specific, my father makes the sparkling wine, and so we got the 1-2 combination. He does the sparklers, and I do the still wines. But he's very particular in the type of yeast that he uses. The whole process is very sensitive, and so it's very specific.
Very, very specialized. Now, what's new at Letitia Vineyards? Randol left me a note here saying green winemaking practices.
Green winemaking. Well, I would say it's not necessarily completely new, although it is something that we've been doing a while. It's our approach to the business is sustainable, and that word's used a lot in a lot of different production beyond just wine, and it's often misunderstood. But it's a sustainable approach to our business, which means it's the whole farm mentality, meaning not only the way that we grow the grapes, we make the wine, but also how we run the business, how we care for our employees. The entire practice is what we call sustainable, which is very important to us.
Well, I can see why it would be, because obviously this is something you want to keep going. You have a great location there off of Highway 101, just past Napomo. Beautiful, beautiful vineyards. And coming up, big event for San Luis Obispo County winemakers, Roll Out the Barrels. And I imagine you will be heavily involved in that.
Yeah, it's one of the events where it's one that we look forward to for the year. It kind of kicks off the summer. It's now 22 years running, and so it involves all the local wineries, which, as you know, are growing rapidly, and it's a big part of the community. And so it's an exciting event. It starts next Thursday, and it rolls through the weekend. Literally rolls through the weekend. And it's
pun intended.
Exactly. So so all the wineries that are involved. It starts, like I said, on Thursday with barrel tasting in San Luis Obispo, with beautiful location. So a lot of us come out with our latest releases or barrel samples, and so people get a preview. Also, it's tied with a lot of the local chefs, and so they're very involved as well. So it's a really big community event.
Yeah, it is a great event. And joining us here in studio is Curtis Cole. He's been helping us out this morning, and he is a true foodie and a Cal Poly student also.
All right, good.
And Curtis, do you have a question for Eric about this Roll Out the Barrels event?
Hey Eric.
How's it going?
I guess I'm just interested in the kind of pairings you're going to be doing with certain chefs and their styles with the reds and the whites. And do you have any information on the kind of the food wine collaboration going on that's coming up?
I wish I had more, but I can tell you this, that we're specifically, there's wine dinners going on. We're not doing one this year. We have in the past. Although every winery does them throughout the year. But the local chefs, the Central Coast here, you've got a big diversity in the styles of food. And so whether you like, specifically seafood, or you want to go with, the barbecue style is big around here, fusion, Italian, there are a lot of really, really good restaurants. And so they've all paired with the wineries. And of course, here we do a lot of Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, but there's also Cabernets, Syrahs, bigger, heavier reds, and then, you've got guys like us making some sparkling. And so as a consumer, we've got it all covered here. And specifically who's paired with who as far as the restaurants with the specific wines, if you go to flowvintners.com, specifically the Roll Out the Barrels tab, you can see all the pairings. And I wish I knew more, but I don't, to be perfectly honest.
So, Eric, with the weather we've been having, that crisp sparkling wine, it sure is the weather for it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's time. Like I said, summer is here, and that sparkling wine is wildly popular. And that's another thing, too, when we're speaking about food. It's an interesting point that many times people don't think about sparkling wine to pair with all their food. And so one of the educational pieces that we like to provide is, hey, try sparkling wine with your entire meal. And you'll be surprised that a good dry brut can go with just about any type of food. So try that out for the summer. That's my little sparkling water.
I like that advice. I think I'm going to take you up on it. So Eric Hickey from Letitia Vineyards, thanks for joining us this morning, filling us in on Roll Out the Barrels. Lots of information online, like you said, the Slow Vintner website, also slowwine.com has all the information you need. You can get your tickets there. One interesting thing that they're offering is a designated driver ticket, super important, and I love that they're doing that. So, Eric, again, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Roll Out the Barrels is going to get underway this coming Thursday, goes throughout the weekend. Just a great time to get out and sample some wonderful food, wonderful San Luis Obispo County wines right here in downtown San Luis Obispo. And we also want to mention that this hour brought to you by Eberly Winery, where you'll always find complimentary wine tasting. It's located right there on Highway 46 East in Paso Robles. And to find out more information, log on to eberlywinery.com. They have some great Father's Day stuff coming up. So we can't forget that. Father's Day weekend coming up. Curtis Cole, you're not forgetting your Father's Day duties, are you?
Certainly not. I'm going to be heading out to Santa Barbara tomorrow afternoon and have a little barbecue outside at his house in the hills of Montecito. It should be a beautiful day.
Well, that sounds fabulous.
Yeah.
I think we should tag along with Curtis Cole. I know, that sounds really fun. All right, Curtis, thank you for being here. Randol White, our fabulous, wonderful host, Randol White, is enjoying a little vacation time. He works really hard, so well-deserved time. He is in Madison, Wisconsin, and he is at this very moment enjoying the farmer's market there. He's probably still pedaling on his bicycle, but he was taking his bicycle there. We just want to thank everyone for joining us on this Saturday morning. All of our segments are available from this week and also from previous weeks online at eatdrinkexplore.com. Curtis Cole, our summer intern. We also have another intern who will be joining us, Nicole Powers, but she is
celebrating her own Father's Day.
Yes, Father's Day, so she's not with us. But Curtis Cole will be posting lots of content on eatdrinkexplore.com. That's what we're going to put him to work doing. And we have lots of great links there where you can find out more information about all the stuff we've been talking about. Brant Myers joined us earlier with some great travel deals from Gulliver's Travel in San Luis Obispo. We heard about the Omnivorous Mind, John Allen with USC. We'll put a link there where you can find out more information about that fabulous book. And also we heard about tipping. So we'll put a link there. You can take that tipping test on kiplinger.com. Find out if you know when and where to tip. Apparently, I am all wrong in the tipping category. I did a horrible 50% on that quiz. But I have to say, in my defense, it is because I am tipping too many people too much money. So I didn't fail because I failed at tipping, Curtis.
Well, you're tipping too well. And I don't think in any world is that a bad thing, in my opinion.
All right. Don't forget you can download our smartphone and tablet device apps at the Apple Store and also Google Play. And a special thanks to our fabulous producers who are working overtime this morning since Ricardo and Randol were not with us. Cora here this morning and Anthony, of course, doing all the work, making the show happen. Our intern, Curtis Cole, bringing us the news. He'll be providing us content throughout the summer. Can't wait to hear that. And for all of you out there, we just want to say enjoy this fabulous Saturday. Enjoy your summer. We want to see you back here next Saturday. Thanks for joining us. I'm Patti Piburn, filling in for Randol White. Eat, drink, explore. Ciao for now.